Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Total Nonstop Racing League here at Pocono Raceway. I am Bob, and joining me as always in the broadcast booth is Joe. And Joe, this is going to be a very, very fun race, a track that you and I have experience in real life coming to Pocono. And for these drivers to really take on the tricky triangle, this is going to be a ton of fun out there tonight.
Definitely. As you said, we have prior experience with this one. I was out on the infield while we were there taking photos. So I know this track very well. I have about 40 miles of walk time. So it'll be very interesting. During our time, I think the racers were having a lot of issues on turn 3. And a few issues on turn 1.
Yeah, and those are kind of going to be your hotspot out there for tonight. And, you know, you always hear about it every time NASCAR comes to Pocono. But through turn 1, it's based off of the racetrack that is quite literally in my backyard, the old Trenton Fairgrounds Speedway through turn 1. Turn 2, just like Indianapolis, almost the exact same as Indy. So you really have to have attack that corner like you would at Indy. And then turn 3, modeled after the Milwaukee Mile, a sweeping, wide, flat turn 3. Very difficult to handle for these drivers out there. And it's gonna be tricky just managing your tires. Tire wear can be a big factor here, especially if you drive in way too deep into turn 1 and turn 3. A lot of friction gets put on those tires. So tire temps, temperature, wear, all that sort of thing going to be a big factor. And the other thing is pitting. It's a wide racetrack, a whole lot of off-track area, so not a whole lot of chances for a yellow. So when it comes down to green flag pit stops, watch that pit entry. You're going to be coming flying into out of turn 3. You have to get down to the pit road speed, which I believe is 50 miles an hour, and it is very, very difficult to find yourself down on pit road without getting a penalty. Taking a look here so far at the folks that are running and their top speeds. Right now, Tim Johnston is our fastest lap of practice with about 2 minutes left to go here in the session with a 53.14. John Cannizzaro, you saw him sliding briefly near Johnston second with a 53.15. So Joe, another race and another time these drivers have very, very close lap times.
Yeah, which is going to be very fun. I think this track is a little bit wider than last week, which will probably fuel the chaos because we're going to see 3, maybe 4 wide. So this should be a lot of fun. I'm really interested to see how these guys are going to handle the tricky triangle. So hopefully we have a really exciting race.
Yeah, and we do have a couple of new drivers joining us in tonight's race. Riley Hoots is one driver. He's currently in P4 on pit road at the moment. But Hoots is brand new to the league. As well as Toby Ritters in the 0-3. He's also a newcomer to TNR. Max Coast as well, another newcomer here. So a couple of new faces here in TNR for tonight's race. So it's going to be fun seeing some new guys get involved with the guys that have been racing all season long. And that could make for some really, really interesting moments. Daniel sideways out of turn 3.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. A lot of these guys kind of know each other's styles and how they race and what they can get away with and what they can't. And just like real NASCAR, you get near someone, you're like, I know what he could do. I know what he can't do. I'll bug him. I'll get close. But now we got some new blood here, and you're going to have to change it up.
Yeah, changing up, and that's going to be the name of the game, just adjusting all race long. The fuel window for tonight's race, speaking of those kinds of adjustments, between 25 to 28 laps, give or take. But it all kind of depends on how fast you're driving. You know, if you're in a group, if you're in a pack. Hard lick there for the 20 of Jamar Dumas. And Dumas had actually said to us before the race, you can really nail one turn. You cannot nail all three.
Yeah.
And I really think that's going to ring true for tonight's race.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting who's going to be the fastest on turn 1, who's going to lose it on turn 2. You catch up a little bit on turn 3 and then lose it again at turn 1. It should be a very fun back and forth.
Yeah, and I know for me personally, turn 2 is usually my bread and butter corner. For whatever reason, I always feel like I can nail turn 2 pretty well and carry that momentum into 3. It's turn 1 that I always have an issue with.
Yeah, I have issues with all 3. It's very tricky for me. I was much better off in the grass, that's for sure.
So far, John Cannizzaro, the first one out to attempt a lap. Here comes the 3 of Jason Schue, Anthony DeBarro in there as well. Here's Cannizzaro, the wild child himself. Next week, we are going to hopefully start with some pre-race interviews and, just to kind of see what the other drivers are thinking, what's going on in their minds. So that is definitely going to be a fun one.
Definitely. As I'm looking at the overhead cam you have, I was like, okay, I walked over there. I was over there.
I've been there. I stood right there.
Yeah. I got a couple really good photos. Accidents on turn 3, accidents on turn 1.
So Cannizzaro so far is going to be on the provisional pole for now at a 53.05. Anthony DeBarro 52.90. Chris Cabot with a 52.96. They are flying through this leaderboard right now. Here is DeBarro. DeBarro pulls over to try to get a new car. He should have enough time to get himself back out on track. Cabot sideways, and Cabot says, nope, I'm going to pull this one over. Jump out and get myself a brand new car and hopefully try to improve my standing. There's Tim Johnston, second place so far with a 52.93. DeBarro coming out on track right here. Philip Scott goes around him. Here's Danny White on track looking to finish his first lap. White gets a little sideways. He might have nailed the wall a little bit. Let's see what White does. That's going to put him P12. Toby Ritters. He's going to come across the line. Looks like he's just getting the green flag. Philip Scott is in. He's P6. Here's Riley Hoots in 5th. Jason Schue picking up a little bit of time on his first sector. Here comes Schue driving it in deep into turn 3. Arcing it wide, trying to get himself a good drive out of the corner. 52.9 his first time, or 53.9 rather, his first time by. He picks up, but he falls back to P12. Adam Stewart on there with the 54.46. There is Stewart. These positions coming in fast and furious, Joe.
Yeah, it's they're coming in quick.
There's DeBarro. He's going to go up with a 52.85. And he just pulls over and says, yep, that's good enough for me. Chris Cabot. He's going to take one more lap around. Cannizzaro going through the access road.
Ooh.
Oh, John Daniels with an issue. As he takes a tumble. There is Tim Johnston out on track, getting ready to finish up his qualifying run. Clock is ticked down to 0. Will he make it onto pit road? He does. Barely, but he does. There's Philip Scott coming across the line. Looks like Adam Stewart, the last driver out on track. See if Adam can improve from his 54.2. He does. But still good enough for 14th. And that right there is going to be it for qualifying, as Anthony DeBarro is going to be sitting on the pole for tonight's race here at Pocono Raceway. Let's take a look here at tonight's starting lineup. Anthony DeBarro, like I had mentioned, is on pole for tonight's race, followed by his teammate Tim Johnston, just 86 1,000ths of a second behind him.
Yeah, plus.
Chris Cabot, just a little tiny bit. Chris Cabot and John Cannizzaro make up row number 2. Philip Scott and Toby Ritters row 3. Riley Hoots, John Daniels make up row number 4. Jamar Dumas and Ace House in row number 5. Jonathan Gaston and Danny White in row number 6. Row number 7, we have Jason Schue and Adam Stewart. Row number 8 has Jeff Price and Max Coast. And finally, bringing up the rear, the number 7 of Garrett Gleason, starting P17. Well, this is going to be a pretty interesting points race for us tonight. As we take a look on screen, Tim Johnston is your points leader here after 7 races. Philip Scott, 123 points back. Shane Ewing in 3rd. We don't see Shane racing with us tonight, so that could be a big boon for the 99 of Philip Scott, just to open up a little bit of a gap over P3. Chris Cabot there in 4th. John Daniels in 5th, looking to improve his spot. Anthony DeBarro in 6th. Mike Tellier not racing tonight, who's currently 7th in points. As you see all the other drivers on screen right now as they're all getting ready to drive off and make their way around. And if you want a refresher of how tonight's points work, for a win, you're going to get 122 points, 119 points for second, and then 3 points less each and every position down. 5 bonus points you get for leading a lap, 5 for leading the most laps, and if you're on the pole, you get an additional 5 points. So you can put another 5 points in Anthony DeBarro's bucket. And if a driver misses the race, you're going to pick up a provisional 75% of whatever last place points are. So, with that being said, we got ourselves a race to get ready for, as the field makes its way through the tunnel turn. See the administration building there for the racetrack in the background. A fun racetrack, but a very difficult racetrack at that. Nice and wide, plenty of room for drivers to go 2, 3, 4. Heck, we could probably even fit them 6 wide off into turn 1. Not that that's advisable.
No.
So the pace car getting ready to pull off and put the field in the hands of the number 27 machine of Anthony DeBarro. There goes the pace car. Field bunching up. Green flag in the air, and we're racing here at the Tricky Triangle. Green flag, Anthony DeBarro. He's to the inside. He's going to swoop up in front of his teammate. And here comes the rest of the field making their way into turn number 1. There's Canizaro on the outside. Ritter's there as well. Jamar Dumas is going to slide up in front of the 44 of Danny White. And everyone makes it through turn 1 clean. Side by side for 5th. Philip Scott to the inside. And oh, looked like Ritter's got a little sideways through turn 2. We'll jump on board with him. He's going to get freight trained down the short stretch, or the short chute rather, into turn number 3. Tough break there for the newcomer, but still plenty of racing go. Oh, looks like one car might have grabbed the wall a little bit. I think that was the 28 of Jamar Dumas. Adam Stewart tabs the wall just a bit. But he's looking clean. Out front, Anthony DeBarro has the lead by just about 0.3 of a second. We got a good battle here between House, Price, and Cost. House trying to drive away from it. Jeff Price right on his back bumper. Here comes Price, dives it in deep, right to the inside. He's going to slide up the track a little bit. Put Price up to 13th.
This is a big track. They are hitting some high speeds.
That is for sure. 150 miles an hour through the corner. Price jumps back up. Probably going to reach maybe 185. Oh, well, might even hit 195 as they dive off into turn 2. As, oh, looked like Gaston was a little bit slow. He might have gotten tripped up a little bit behind the 4 of Adam Stewart. That's going to let Price take a move to the inside. And that back channel productions machine. As now here comes Price. Oh, Garrett Gleason gets a little sideways back there. But take a look at this dashboard here for Jeff Price. 190 miles an hour. 198 as they dive into turn 1.
Wow, going into the turn at 198.
Some cooler weather tonight here at Pocono. Only an 82-degree track temp, so plenty of grip for the drivers. 70 degrees outside. Definitely not a July race here for Pocono. And if you see there, it's actually in sim. It's May of this year.
Oh.
Big slide there for the guys.
John Daniels tapped the wall and lost a couple positions for it.
Yeah, Daniels starting to fall back just a little bit more. As now here's a pass. Danny White taking a look to the inside of Dumas. He has to get out of it. He's getting ready to slide up into the 28. A couple of good-looking race cars there.
Definitely.
Meanwhile, out front, nothing much has changed. Anthony DeBarro leading the field over Tim Johnston. These two drivers opened up to about a second. There's the gap between second and third. A good battle brewing between Chris Cabot and John Canizaro Jr. Jump on board. The back bumper camera of Canizaro. Canizaro drives in. Cabot takes a peek to the inside, gets a little bit loose. He's going to have to jump out of it. So far, everyone just kind of minding their P's and Q's.
Except the vendetta they all have against the wall.
Yeah, this Pocono wall really loves to jump out and attack you. It also doesn't help that the way these cars are set up, they have so much skew in them. You can kind of tell when you're looking at the car from the back. Oh, looks like the 9 of Hoots grabbed the outside wall. But I was saying, oh, Garrett Gleason catches the wall as well. That Pocono wall really, really making its presence known. Yeah, look at that heavy right side damage on the 9.
Yeah.
But as I was starting to say, you can kind of see when you get a good shot of the car either coming towards you or driving away from you, how sideways the car looks when going in a straight line.
Yeah,
and
you can kind of see it.
A lot of that has to do with the setup and the skew and all that sort of thing. And because of that, you may be driving, you think you have plenty of room between you and the wall. Well, your back end is probably a good 6-7 inches closer to the wall as the 9 gets a little more sideways. And because of that, it's just so easy to get stuck in the wall thinking, oh, I got plenty of room. Meanwhile, your back end is rubbing right up against the wall.
Mm.
Here's Hoots trying to put some more pressure on Daniels. Oh, he gets in the wall again. So easy to do here at Pocono.
Yeah, it's such high speed. I'm assuming they want to just stay up as high as they can, and then come out of the turn. You just got a little bit of slide to it. Try to get it against the wall for more speed, and then you just give it a little love tap.
That is exactly it. You're just trying to carry as much speed as you can, and sometimes you're just stuck up against the wall a little too much. Field drives off into turn number 1. Looks like the 9 having a little bit of a connection issue. As we take a look here at the 63 of Max Coast. Newcomer here to the league. And looks like we have an issue on track. Garrett Gleason coming down and says, nope, I am done for the night. So tough break there for Garrett. Meanwhile, out front, that gap's still staying at 0.3 of a second between the 27 and the 82.
Yeah, really, anything you could do, I will follow exactly, is what we got going on at 1 and 2.
That is for sure. As we jump on board with Dabara, that's the gap. Just about a car length, maybe a car length and a half, separating these two drivers. Probably another 15-ish laps, give or take, until the drivers have to come down for fuel.
Mm.
In this angle, you can really see the line that the 82 is taking. Right along that yellow line, gets a great drive off the corner. Down this massive front straightaway, the longest front straightaway in all of NASCAR.
Hmm.
And even here, the Long Pond Straight, one of the next longest straightaways in all of NASCAR.
Wild.
That is your battle for the lead. The gap's closed significantly now. Here comes Johnston. Johnston to the inside. He got a great run through the tunnel turn. And Dabara just says, all right, bud, go for it. All you. Here comes Dabara, though. He's going to try to surge back. Can't quite get it done. But what a great move there by Johnston, getting around Dabara. Let's take a look at that one again on the replay. As as this all took place just into turn 2. As here comes Johnson, got a great run out of 2. And says, yep, I will gladly take that one.
Yeah, just giving him the Canadian drive-by. Hey there, bud.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
Hey,
ahead
bud.
up ahead. Thanks, there.
So that is your battle there for first. We got a great battle here brewing for third. Chris Cabot still attached at the bumper cover to John Cannizzaro Jr. This might be Cabot's chance right now. Thought about it, couldn't quite get the momentum.
You can actually see there with that camera how when you're dead on to the back of the car, you can still see the driver's side, like side decals, but you can't see the passenger side. That's how crooked the cars are.
Yeah, and this era of body was called the Twisted Sister for a reason. If you look at the car from certain angles, the left front of the car is basically flat, while the right front is angled to all get out. And you can really tell by just getting around these corners and watching these cars go. And like you said, look at that. You can see the left side decals there. Tries to take a peek to the right, can't quite see it. It's always a good way to see how these cars really function. Some great battles on track. Here comes Cabot to the inside, trying to stick a nose in. Gets a little squirrely, can't quite complete the run. DeBarro up front as well. You can see just in the distance. Back onto the back bumper of Johnston. And oh man, look at that run. Cabot was able to get there. As here comes Cabot again, trying to put some pressure on Cannizzaro. Meanwhile, Philip Scott is sitting right there in 5th saying, hey, if you guys want to wreck, I'm not going to say no.
What's interesting is, like we were saying in the beginning, who's got the better lap where, or who's got the better turn. It seems like through turns 1 and 2, Johnston and DeBarro pull away from Cannizzaro and Cabot, but when turn 3 rolls around, they're right back next to each other at that 1.8, 1.9, and then they pull it out again, and then they turn 3, they make it right back up. So it seems like they got 2 of the 3 down, but those 3 and 4 are they're really good on those turn 3s. So
yeah, it's always interesting to see what corners better suit what drivers. Especially with the 3 corners being all different lengths, radiuses, banking, blah, 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 blah. We hear that all the time. But just the way you kind of set up your racing style to do better in one corner versus the other, it's always very interesting to see that. As Cabot still trying to get behind Cannizzaro. That is the gap as Cannizzaro just barely scrapes up against the wall, just a little cosmetic. Meanwhile, out front, we got some more pressure for the lead. DeBarro trying to look low, can't quite do anything with it. Long front straightaway too.
yeah, it's plenty of time to look.
And that's one of those things where, you know, you're kind of seeing it right now. You can always catch a guy, but getting around him is a completely different story.
Yeah.
as we see right here with Johnston. He's ahead. DeBarro really trying to get there, but can't quite do anything. He gets right to his back bumper. It's always wild watching them come out of 3, especially. It feels like they're all in a 4-wheel drift, sideways, you know, about to hit the wall any second, and then they just kind of pick up traction and go.
Yeah. And they're not coming out of that slow, is the crazy part.
No, upwards of 140 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Show the battle and the lap times here between Johnston and DeBarro. Fairly even. You see there about 5 laps ago, the gap was 0.2. Meanwhile, last time by, only down to 0.1 and about the same. You can see also how these drivers were at one point almost identical on lap 13. And just the fact that they're all here, you know, within 1/10 of a second lapse every single time.
It's wild.
Right now, this is one of the closest battles on the racetrack. Another good battle we're seeing here is featuring the number 28 of Jamar Dumas as well as Jeff Price. Nothing much going on for these guys right now. It's just so difficult to pass. Ritters and Daniels also fighting for a spot. Looks like Ritters drove up the track just a little bit too much. That's going to give a good run to the 0-2 of Daniels if he can get there. But like we said, catching him is one thing. Passing him is a completely different story.
Yeah. There's just so much speed. And seems like everyone kind of has their laps down. So...
Yeah, and it's always difficult, too, when these cars are so equal. And it's kind of the issue we see in today's NASCAR, where the cars are so close, so equal and all that. It kind of, it just makes it difficult to get around other cars and pass anyone and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But we see here Daniels trying to take a move to the outside. He's going to drop down low, try to cross him over. Get a good run out of turn 3. They're right there. Here comes Daniels to the inside. Loose. Sideways all the way down to the inside wall. Ritter still has the spot. Meanwhile, it looks like Jonathan Gaston, our first taker down pit road.
He's taking on lap 21.
And it sounds like these guys can do usually about 27 laps. So if we try to math this one out, if he does 27 laps, he'll pit on lap 48, which is more than 20 or less than 20. Oh, trouble. They get into each other.
What a recovery.
3. What a save by Ritters.
What a recovery.
Jeff Price gets ready to head down pit road. We're going to keep it here before we take a look at that one on replay. Because, wow, what a save, what a recovery. I'm sure the 0-2 was saying, man, I am so sorry about that.
I was going to say, is he going to return the favor?
He very well could. This could get interesting.
Because I'm surprised he was able not only to recover, but to recover and not lose that much time.
Yeah.
You know, we saw guys
wild.
Yeah, we see guys that bumped into the wall and lost 3 positions. He almost got wrecked, and he lost a couple tenths of a second.
Yeah. So let's now that we've kind of calmed down a little bit, let's take a look here at the at that pass, because that was absolutely wild to see what had happened between those drivers. I mean, a little bit of contact. We'll pick it up right here. They're coming out of turn number 2. Down the straightaway. So the O2 got loose. He picks it up. He gets going. Now they're basically side by side going into turn 3. Daniels has the head of steam. He has a nose on him, so he's there. And, oh, looked like the O3 might have turned down on the O2. Catches him sideways. Look at the wheel. Look at how sharp the wheel turned to the right just to save the car. Sends the O3 up the track. Daniels right down low, and somehow they were able to keep that one going in a straight line. Oh, and hey, look, they're still attached to each other. More drivers down on pit road at the moment. Here's John Cannizzaro, Danny White, Max Coast as well. A few other drivers have already pit. Looks like Ace House and Jonathan Gaston a lap down. Johnny Williams popping in the chat on YouTube saying good luck for the rest of the race. Hello to the booth. Hello, Johnny. Miss you out there. Hope you're doing well. Oh, looks like Hoots caught the inside wall. Let's take a look at how that one happened.
I think he hit the outside wall first.
Yeah, let's take a look here. Here's Hoots coming out of turn 3. He's got the 27 of DeBarro right behind him. He just got a little loose. He might have caught the apron. Sent him down, and then, oh, hard lick on both sides.
Ooh.
That has to be a damaged race car.
It's got to be.
And look at how bunched up the front end of that car is, too.
Yeah, you do not want to be the pinball between the track in this case.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw that at, oh yeah, it looks like the 9 has plenty of damage. He's taking the access road. That may very well be end of night for him. Meanwhile, at the front, Anthony DeBarro heads down pit road, as does Philip Scott.
I was going to wonder where he was going to pit, because his teammate pitted a lap earlier.
And look
2
at
laps
that,
earlier.
the O2 and the O3 still attached at the hip.
I'm sure they're going to pick that right where they left off.
Definitely. They both got in the box at pretty much the exact same time. DeBarro, 4 tires and fuel. He's out of there. Philip Scott getting ready to leave as well. The pace car driver staring us deep directly into our soul. There's the O2 and the O3 leaving as well.
I don't know what I did wrong, but I'm sorry.
Johnny says dealing with a broken foot. Other than that, doing good. Definitely a shame. Good luck to you, Johnny.
If it's your clutch foot, you're fine.
Chris Gabot down on pit road. Jason Schue, the only driver yet to pit so far.
I feel like that's a recurring theme with these races and Schue.
And, you know, it's a very smart strategy. I mean, with this, if you lead a lap, you get 5 bonus points. And Schue always has those very quiet, very good points finish races. And I think this is just kind of his MO, you know. He says, all right, I may not have the speed and pace to really ride and fight along guys like DeBarro, like Johnston, but I can get out there, I can lead a lap, give me at least those extra 5 bonus points, and maybe I could do something about that. As here comes Schue to relinquish the lead. That's going to give things right back to this guy, the 82 of Tim Johnston. But, Joe, through all of that flip-flopping around on pace, on speed, through pit stops, the guy in P2, this guy, John Cannizzaro Jr., he's able to leapfrog the 27 of DeBarro.
Yeah.
And he's got about 0.8 of a second over DeBarro. There's the gap to second and third.
Yeah, he just kind of snuck in there for it.
In the chat, Johnny says, nope, it's not, and I don't use a clutch. Meanwhile, we've got a good battle here brewing between the 25 of Gabo and, well, about a quarter of the field as Gabo leads Daniels, Ritters, and Dumas. As we're just a couple of laps away from halfway. Looks like Adam Stewart down on the access road. You know, we say this a lot, but some darn good looking paint schemes out there. This 25 is definitely a great looking scheme. Very reminiscent of the old Wood Brothers motorcraft machine from the early 2000s with Elliott Sadler. Just different colors. Got a battle here for second.
That 0.8 of a second did not stay long.
No, it definitely didn't. As here comes DeBarro, able to get around Cannizzaro. Cannizzaro, though, we know the wild child, and he is not one to give up.
Mm-hmm.
As we'll ride on board here with DeBarro. Now is DeBarro going to be able to drive away from Cannizzaro?
More importantly, are they going to catch up to Johnston?
That very well, that is certainly the best question.
But we do have another pit. So anything is possible.
For sure. I mean, these guys all came in around 22, 25, you know, thereabouts. That would mean they'd have to come in around 45, 48, something like that, which if they pit around then, that is the last pit stop they're going to need to make.
Yeah.
Only a 66 lap race here around the Pocono Raceway. If I had thought about it earlier, I have a video of the time I got to take a lap around here with NASCAR driver Ty Dillon driving the pace car. And this was from back in, I want to say 2017, 2018, somewhere in that ballpark. And he would say, all right, this is where we shift. This is where there's a giant bump into turn 2. You don't want to hit this. And as he says that, he actually hits the bump himself. And mind you, we're driving in a Chevy SS, so a street car. We're driving in the pace car. And when he hit that bump, I felt like that car got sideways with all the regular real car driving assists and all that. Whereas with these race cars, you hit that bump, you're sideways off and into a wall somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Got another battle here. This time, Danny White trying to put the moves on Chris Gabo. Gabo just got around him, so White looking for a little more revenge. As, the 44 very close to getting in the wall, carries a ton of speed down the short chute. The famous what turn 4 sign there in Pocono. And there's always a debate. How many turns are actually in Pocono? Some say 3, some say 6. And more, there's now people saying that there's actually 5 turns at Pocono.
Are these like flat earthers? Right? Like it's got a.
And here's the thing. I completely understand all three versions.
Why?
Because if you look at it, the official statement is turn 1, turn 2, turn 3.
Right. That
The
makes
way-
sense. There's no straights in between them.
Right. The way NASCAR typically designates ovals is, if we look at Charlotte last week, for example, turn 1 and 2 is on the one side of the track, turn 3 and 4 on the other side of the track. If we use that same logic where you're technically changing a cardinal direction in the corner as a second turn, I would venture to say Pocono has 5 turns. Because right here through turns 1 and 2, or through turn 1, you come through halfway through, that becomes turn 2. You're heading down the straightaway. In the next corner is built after Indianapolis, 4 individual corners. So this would be 1 individual corner. And then into turn 3, which would be then turns 4 and 5. I can understand that. However, those people are wrong, and Pocono has 3 turns.
I don't like any of that. That's like that new math for kids where you have to do like 800 equations to just do like 2 plus 2. I don't like that. I am going into turn 1. At no point in turn 1 did I have to straighten my wheel, which means that was 1 turn.
So you're saying every other corner in NASCAR is wrong?
Yes. I am willing to die on that hill.
Let me know in the comments what you think. Is Pocono 3, 5, or 6 corners? And who is wrong here?
Listen, if I was on my GPS and I asked you to turn left, at no point would I say to turn left again. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Joe, you had asked the question a few laps ago. Will DeBarro catch Johnston? Take a look at these lap times. For the last 5 laps, DeBarro has caught Johnston 4 tenths, 3 tenths, 2 tenths, 2 tenths, 4 tenths. He's picking up some time.
So the answer is just in time to pit again, maybe.
Basically. Figure another 10 laps until these guys have to pit.
Thank you, Johnny.
Johnny in the chat saying 3 over on YouTube.
Listen, if you go here with a GPS and it tells you to turn left and then turn left again, you're crashing. It's all I'm saying.
Pretty good battle here brewing between Johnson and the lapped car of Jonathan Gaston. We'll jump on board here with Anthony DeBarro now. DeBarro is also losing time to Cannizzaro, so Cannizzaro is basically the fastest car on track if DeBarro's picking up on Johnston but losing to Cannizzaro.
Interesting.
It's that new math stuff, Joe. I don't get it either. That little tiny speck just out of the camera shot, that is Cannizzaro. He's quickly gaining on DeBarro here, but about 2 seconds is the gap between these two drivers. Meanwhile, 1.6 seconds separates those guys. And oh, there's a battle here for 6 between White, Daniels, Price, and Ritters. Side by side through the tunnel turn. Very difficult to do. Oh, big loose there from the O2. That's going to let Price capitalize. Here comes White on the outside. Ritter
That has
stuffs
been-
it in.
That little wiggle at a 2 has been so common.
Plenty of power down there side by side to kick off lap 40. The 44 of White has been stuck on the outside for pretty much an entire lap. At this point, he's going to finally be able to slot in behind or in front of Price. Here comes Ritters to the inside of Price. May not be able to make a move quite yet. As Ritter says, I'll take that going through the tunnel turn. Price goes out wide. Johnny Williams asks, why is Garrett sitting in the pits? He might have gotten the wall towards the beginning of the race and had backed out. 2 cars out of the race for tonight. One of the newcomers, Riley Hoots and Garrett. Adam Stewart is 4 laps down. Jonathan Gaston, the only other car a lap down. We're right on board here with the 0-3 of Ritters. The front bumper is going to take a peek to the inside. Just off screen. Great fight brewing here. Johnny Williams saying he's hoping to be at Atlanta. That'll be great to have you there. Double header at Atlanta next week. 2 races back to back at the super speedway version of Atlanta. Pack racing, big wrecks, etc., all coming in.
Always fun.
In the Discord, Riley Hoots says, sorry, all not my best. Oh, trouble! 39 and Jeff Price goes sideways. Looks like he had backed out. So no caution. Let's take a look at what happened there for these guys. Tough break there for Price. He was having himself a great run. So we'll pick this up here. They're coming out of turn 3. Gets up the racetrack, and oh yeah, you can see the back end snap around right there. And that's where he unfortunately will call it a night. Meanwhile, out front, 24 laps to go. Tim Johnston walking away from this one, but Anthony DeBarro still starting to close in. 1.2 seconds left. And we'll see that lead still shrinking, but only slightly as Tim Johnston comes down pit road. So Johnston, the first taker to make his way on to pit road.
Makes sense. 23 to go.
Yeah, he'll have plenty of room and plenty of time to make it the rest of the way. As Danny White and Jamar Dumas also make their way down pit road. Johnston, the crew goes around to the left side. And he's down and away, 14.5 seconds stop. Jump back up with DeBarro. Now, does DeBarro answer and try to cover? Yes, he does. Here comes DeBarro hard onto the brakes. He locks him up. But that should be okay. As now DeBarro drives down pit road. So far, the only taker. As here comes Ritters. Able to get down and slowed up. Coast as well coming in. As you see there in the background. As there goes Tim Johnston and Adam Stewart in the background. So final round of pit stops coming. DeBarro down and away, a 15.4 second pit stop. And oh, too much gas. He's slid sideways. Hustling to get out there. Oh, he's still sideways. He's struggling. DeBarro has to chase it up the racetrack. And that is exactly what Johnston needed to see. Take another look at that one on the replay.
Uh-oh.
As DeBarro just too sideways coming out.
But I think we do have a caution.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Looks like there was an issue for Danny White. As we see the DeBarro incident again. Let's take a look here. What happened to Danny White?
Oh, he was trying to go up a little high. I guess he didn't see.
Oh, yeah, contact with the 03. Hard incident there into the inside wall. Ritter's able to get going. White, bunch of damage there on the front end.
And with that, very much changes
things.
Yeah.
That will change everything. Couple of drivers fell down a lap. Looks like Dumas, White, and Coast all one lap down. Looks like DeBarro, Cannizzaro, Ritters, Dumas, and White all already pitted. They're just trying to fight to catch the pace car. Here's the pace car coming out of the corner. We'll show you where everyone is on the track. Long way to go for the 72 and the 03. And right now you would expect Philip Scott, Chris Cabot, John Daniels to pit. That would relinquish the lead back to Tim Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
Cannizzaro back there in 8th. We're going to wait to see who is going to be pitting before we try to bring on a driver to chat. Dumas is going to catch back up with the pace car. So Tim Johnston right there, Anthony DeBarro, Cannizzaro as well. Those 3 drivers stayed out. Everyone else heads down pit road to make their pit stops. This is a huge, huge moment for a lot of these guys.
Mm.
Tough break, though, for the 03. He just pitted. Now he's going to have to come back again, just get some damage fixed.
Yeah.
So Philip Scott's going to win that battle off of pit road. But Joe, what do you say we dial up the old number 77 machine, if we can find him wherever he may be in the chat. Looks like he is not in the not out there in the voice chat.
He is indeed not. This is going to definitely change the last 19.
That it certainly is. And speaking of the wild child himself, joining us in the booth now, John Cannizzaro. And, well, John, it's been a pretty interesting race for everyone, I'd say, so far. How much did that yellow really change some strategy there?
There was some unkind language said in this car. I was planning on coming down taking at least 2 tires, and I probably would have got out in front of DeBarro until, once again, I got kind of bent over on pit strategy. So I'm just going to kind of drive it off the right rear, and either I'm going to win this damn race or I'm going to wreck trying.
And, you know, talking about that, I mean, I'm sure that had to have been so damn frustrating. What do you think is going to be your key? You know, you don't have to give away your strategy or anything in case anyone else is listening right now. What do you think your strategy is? Just kind of drive it in deep into turn 1 and block like you're Ryan Newman, or what are you thinking?
Well, the 2 in front of me are teammates as far as I'm concerned. They're both very fast, a lot faster than I am, but as far as I'm concerned, they're both in my windscreen, and I'd like to be ahead of them. So I win races, I don't finish second.
Fair enough. Well, John, we'll get you back. We'll get you back out there on the track. Good luck for the rest of the way.
Hey.
So very interesting. It's going to be quite the last 17 laps when we go back green here.
Yeah, that like he said, he's gonna finish first or crash try.
It's like the Andy Janikowski quote from the ARCA race earlier this year. I'm going to put my foot to the floor and not lift until I see God or the checkered flag. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. They don't call him the wild child for nothing. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So the
maybe
lights...
we were saying. Go on.
Yep, go for it.
I was just gonna say we were saying, can DeBarro catch him? Can Cannizzaro catch DeBarro? The end of the pack are having good races, but they're not really that close. And now here we are. All next to each other at the end here.
Oh, yeah. Stack them up and let's see what happens as Johnson gets a fantastic restart. Here comes Cannizzaro. He's going to drive it in deep right along that yellow line to help him kind of get a little bit more of a turn. Not able to get it there quite too much. As now Cannizzaro has his nose there on DeBarro. Good fight here for P2. As looks like Ace House gets a little sideways back there. Coming to 16 laps remaining. This is the fight for the lead and the win. Looks like Adam Stewart heads down pit road. As we jump on board here with the 0-2 of John Daniels. Daniels looks to the inside of Philip Scott. Not going to be able to get that move done yet. As we take a look at this speed going towards the tunnel turn. 193 miles an hour. Backs out early, gets a great run on Scott. Can he take it? Nope, he's going to give a little bump to him and say, all right, go for it.
It's interesting. It's such a wide straight, but the turns are so narrow.
That's what makes Pocono so hard to navigate for these guys. it's, you know, you have all the room in the world, but the racing line is so narrow. As we see Philip Scott take a look to the inside of Cannizzaro. I'm going to drive in deep. Daniels backs down. He might be able to get a run here into turn 2. Lifts at the 1 and then back on the throttle early. What a run. Look at that. That is exactly how you try to line up a pass into turn 3. Back out of turn 2 early. Get on the gas quick. Drive out. And a couple drivers in the wall. That's Chris Gabot as well as Philip Scott. Cannizzaro might have caught the wall as well. Danny White heads down pit road. We're going to keep it here as we've got a great battle for the lead brewing. Top 4 right there on your screen. Tim Johnston has it. Anthony DeBarro and company won it. .5 laps remaining here at Pocono for the Total Nonstop Racing League. If you're just joining us, feel free to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Twitch. You could like our video here on YouTube and drop a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win. Will it be Johnston, DeBarro, Cannizzaro, or Daniels? Or none of the above and we get some chaos?
That according directly from Cannizzaro.
As speaking of, look at that 77 sideways. You can see his hands grip the wheel and power slide that car out of turn 2 or turn 1. Coming to 12 laps remaining.
Man, I don't think this was the finish that Johnston was hoping for. I think he was a little happier when there was a 3 to 4 second gap.
Yeah, I don't think Cannizzaro was alone when he said there were some colorful words being said in the race car. As look at this, top 3 drivers all under a blanket with the O2 saying, hey, is there room for me? DeBarro trying to get a run. Cannizzaro all over his back bumper.
Talk about close.
One wrong move from any of these drivers, and it could just gift this race to the O2 of Daniels.
They look like they're touching.
And if not, they're getting darn close. 27 backs off, trying to get a run down the front straightaway. Oh, a little bit of contact there between the 27 and 77. That's going to put Cannizzaro to the inside. So move Cannizzaro up to P2. DeBarro's starting to fall back a little bit. He falls into the clutches of Johnston, or of Daniels, rather. Now here comes Cannizzaro. John Cannizzaro, he has the run. He's going to stick his nose to the inside, side by side into the tunnel turn.
And he takes it.
Cannizzaro has it, but here comes Johnston back on the inside. He tries to take a peek, can't quite get it going there. He's going to have to regroup and settle again with 10 laps to go.
Meanwhile, 3 and 4.
Side by side for third between Daniels and DeBarro. Daniels is going to take a peek to the inside. They're side by side. Inches apart, fender to fender. We still have to do this 10 more times. Canizzaro's starting to open up a little bit of a gap, 0.2 of a second in front of Johnston. And like a ninja, Philip Scott able to sneak his way up here, and that's a 5-horse race for the lead.
Oh, boy.
Let's take a look on board here of John Cannizzaro and just look at this battle from behind.
You know what also is about to come into play? The number 14. Or sorry, the number 4 of Stewart.
Let's see, Stewart just ahead of this battle. Take a look here at the track map. Yeah, they very well could be catching him by the end of this race. As you see there, Adam just exiting turn 1 as the field enters it. And this pack of drivers will always be faster than a single car.
Mm-hmm.
Now Cannizzaro covers the inside. Johnson and DeBarro almost looked like they're kind of holding each other up. Just tripping over each other just a little bit. Johnston has it. His teammate DeBarro there wants it. Hear those engines screaming heading down into turn 1. Getting close to 200 miles an hour. Daniels a little sideways through turn 1. Cannizzaro very smart, looking to cut off and try to take the draft away from the 82. Johnny Williams says he's cheering for the wild child. Things are looking pretty good for him, coming to 6 laps remaining. But he's going to have to fight.
Yeah, I don't know. That lead was cut. At one point, he had like a 0.4 of a second, but it is all the way back down to 2. So
this could be interesting, especially if the 82 and 27 decide to team up and say, all right, let's go after, let's get the 77, and then we'll fight for the win. And that kind of looks like what they're doing there. The 82 and 27 staying strong on the outside, 77 doing everything he can to just break the draft. Looks like the Indy 500, the way Cannizzaro's weaving down the straightaway, trying to create a bit of a draft dragon, if you will. But the two Dizzy Motorsports teammates saying, nope, we are not having any of that. About a 1/4 second gap now between Johnston and Cannizzaro. So now we've got 5 laps to go.
Yep.
Cannizzaro's info there says he's possibly fast.
Indeed, possibly fast.
Can confirm. Certainly possibly fast. As we see the 82 of Johnson steps out a little sideways there.
Daniels is sneaking next to DeBarro. He's less than 1/10 of a second behind him.
Yeah, this could get real interesting here, and very well could work out for the 77 if Daniels is able to put a little bit of fight into these top two. But here comes Philip Scott. Scott to the inside of Daniels. So we'll move Philip Scott up to fourth. Daniels back to fifth. But not so fast there as Daniels all over the back bumper. Oh, into the wall. Daniels grabs the wall. And that very well could make things tough for him. Meanwhile, up front, the dizzy train is coming behind Cannizzaro. 3 laps to go here at Pocono. Do either of these drivers have enough in the tank to get around the 77? Or is Cannizzaro going to be able to hold them off? So far, 0.3 of a second gap. Roughly 3 car lengths. And DeBarro has not left the bumper of Johnston once.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't tried to like hop around each other or
2 laps to go. Dizzy teammates staying strong behind one another, just not quite able to get to get alongside without slowing each other down. That's kind of the goal. Two laps to go. Cannizzaro able to hold on to it through turn 2. Good battle there between Scott and Daniels. As the white flag is in the air one more time around for John Cannizzaro Jr. Can the wild child do it? As looks like Jamar Dumas caught the wall out of turn 3. Everyone keeping it straight. That's the gap.
looks
Nothing
like he actually
quite going yet.
looks like he actually lost him and he's still gaining on him. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna catch him.
Well, they've got one more corner to go. Cannizzaro drives into turn 3 deep. Checkered flag is in the air. Can Cannizzaro hold on? Out of turn 3, John Cannizzaro wins at Pocono.
What a finish.
0.4 of a second separating first and second. All top 4 drivers within a second of each other. What a finish. What a fantastic race. Wow.
Crazy finish. That yellow really changed the entire last leg of the race.
That is for sure. It looked like it was going to be a bit of a dizzy runaway until that caution flag came out.
Definitely. Wow.
As we're going to start pulling some drivers into the interview waiting room. As Cannizzaro burns it down here at Pocono. I feel like we've seen this view before a couple of times. But while Canizaro burns it down, Joe, I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher for tonight's race, the number 27 machine of Anthony DeBarro.
Hey, Anthony, congratulations on your third place finish. Crazy race, crazy finish. Looked like you were kind of trying to help Johnston there at the end. What was your plan going into the race?
It was a different race. There wasn't a lot of fall off, but I think so the cars behind us and I think the winner, John, he had a lap on us at tires and I had a lap on Timothy and I really think that made a difference and it was a fun race overall. I was like, looks like we got to put a good show up for you guys. And it's just hard to pass and I you get to a car and you can't get any closer and I chopped John pretty bad there into three. I'm sure you guys saw that. So when he got back to me, I let him go. I just wanted to, have some driver etiquette there and let him go. And, cause I that was bad. If he didn't lift, we would have been in the wall. So, I owed him to let him around there. And he made it. He kept the momentum going and got Timothy and said, you know what, I'm stealing this win. So props to him. He was fast all night. I think, if he had track position from the beginning, I don't think we would have been able to pass him anyway.
Yeah, it was crazy to watch. What section of Pocono do you find the most advantageous to your race style?
I like the section that you drive down the straightaway and you have time to adjust your fan or take a drink. That was nice. That was nice change from Bristol and the other tracks we've been at. So I was joking about that with Tim, but yeah, it was like I said. I like the tunnel turn because you could attack it, you could arc it. Turn three is I think the most difficult. It seems like it was just the middle lane. Some guys were trying the bottom, but you didn't have the momentum on exit. We couldn't shift the way the setup was. I think if the gearing was a little better, when we shifted it, we might have had a little more passing. But it was cool how we were all with top 4 and 5 are right there at the end, and putting a good show on.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Any shout outs for us?
Yeah, thank you guys for doing this each week and putting the broadcast on and the admins, Garrett and all the guys for putting this on and the work behind the scenes to make us come have fun on a Monday night.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations again and good luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, that was our second place finisher, Anthony DeBarro. And now I am joined by our second place finisher. Third place, that was DeBarro. Second place finisher here is driver of the number 82 machine, Tim Johnston. And Tim, another great run there for you and your Dizzy Motorsports teammates. And, before that yellow came out, it looked like it was, kind of a race between you and DeBarro. And, what was your mindset there as soon as that yellow came out?
I knew it was going to be a shootout. I didn't think to come back down pit road because I had, I think, 2 laps on my tires. I don't think that was the deciding factor. I think John just outran us. But no, I was like, when it came out, I said, yep, this is going to be a shootout for the remaining 15, 18 laps or so.
And, a shootout, it definitely was. I mean, I think at one point, DeBarro was saying that the entire top 5 was within a second of each other. I think that's how everyone finished, with Philip Scott being a second behind you guys. So, a tight race there at the end. What are your thoughts here at Pocono? Because I think we were talking, I might have been with you last week, where you said Pocono, not really a great track for me.
Yeah, that was me. I think this is the second time I've finished in the top 5. It might be I've never raced this car here though, so it might be this car track combo. But tonight I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and yeah, like I said, that last 18, 19 lap run with the top 4 was close. Anybody make a little bit of a mistake in the top 5, and you were going to lose, 3 or 4 spots.
And taking a look to next week, a doubleheader at Atlanta, the super speedway version of Atlanta. They're always a toss-up for racing, whether there's a wreck, a bad bump, especially with these ARCA Gen 4 cars, where they're just wedges and lift up the rears. What are your thoughts there heading to Atlanta next week?
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I certainly enjoyed racing at the old Atlanta. I'm not sure how these cars will really be, you know, how they are in speedways, but it'll be kind of interesting to see how they are at Atlanta next week. Unfortunately, I actually have a prior engagement. I have to chaperone my son's field trip, so I will not be here next week. But I told my Dizzy teammates to tell me how it was, and I hope everybody out there has fun next week, and it's a good car track combo.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fun one. Definitely going to be missing you. And before we let you go, Tim, I'm sure you have some shout outs, so let's hear them.
Yeah, I just want to thank my Dizzy teammates. Been on their team for quite a few years now, and have a blast racing with those guys. Everybody in here, another great run. We almost made it another caution-free race. Congrats to John, great win. He was super fast. He was fast on the long runs too. He was slowly gaining on us, and Philip and John and all those guys in the top 5, and everybody at TNR that puts this on every week. You guys for the great broadcasts, and the fans that tune in.
Awesome. Well, Tim, congrats there on a second place finish, and looking forward to seeing you out there in a couple of weeks.
All right, guys. Yep, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, that was our second place finisher, Tim Johnston, and now Joe has made it down to victory lane to speak with the wild child himself, John Cannizzaro.
Hey, John, congratulations on the first place win. You did say about 20 laps in remaining that you were either going to crash or win. So it looks like it was indeed the win. What was your mindset in those last about 10 laps where you had the lead?
I don't know if I can describe it better than that interview, but I got a good restart on DeBarro. You know, Tim kind of got out on me, and I really didn't care. You know, I'll pull back up to him on the straightaway, and DeBarro played a little bit of a risky game into turn 3 and took my nose, and I'm not saying I would have got into him had he done it again. But, you know, 20 laps to go. I'm here for wins. No matter what happened, I was probably going to end up using some excessive force to get that win. Of course, I'm joking a little bit. DeBarro and Tim are great guys, and, you know, they've done nothing but race me clean since I came back here. Especially DeBarro. You know, following him around the racetrack for about 2 years has taught me a lot. So, I really don't know. I didn't think I had that speed. All night, I just kind of been pacing myself. I couldn't get through the tunnel turn to save my life, and, you know, DeBarro drove by me during the pit stop cycle, so once that caution came out, that thing was either leaving here in my hauler or it was going to leave here on the back of a rollback.
Well, speaking of how you say it was difficult, Pocono has very narrow turns. Where were you finding your best opportunities to kind of like make the overtakes?
Well, out of the 3 turns, there's only 3. If you can get under somebody in turn 3, you probably would have been able to pull them down to 1 if you got on the quarter panel and got by them. Otherwise, you were just gonna have to hope and pray they made a mistake. DeBarro let me by. I want to say thank you. That seems kind of a little bit weird, though. You know, he kind of let me by, but Johnson just kind of think he, you know, rather take second than watch me wreck across his nose into the tunnel turn. So it's just kind of get under somebody and hope and pray they want to lift with you. Otherwise, you're probably gonna end up wrecking it.
Makes sense. Well, thanks so much for chatting with us. I'm sure you got some shout outs for us.
Yeah, you gotta shout out Tyler. He helps crew chief. He painted my car. It's one of my favorite cars I've ever ran. So he's always here with me. He's always helping me do strategy, even though it kind of almost bit me today. My father, he's always watching. He used to race here too, and he might race here again in the future. Who knows? You guys put on the broadcast. You're always great to listen to. You know, everybody out that in TNR that puts on the league for us. You know, Garrett and everybody, they welcome me back with open arms, and everybody in the field, they all run great. Almost had a caution-free race again.
They were very close. Well, thanks again. Congratulations. Good luck next week in the doubleheader.
Thank you.
All right, that was our final interview of the evening with our winner, John Cannizzaro Jr. And, well, Joe, this has been a ton of fun. A lot of interesting strategy, some great moves, a couple of wall hits thrown in there as well. Let's take a look here at the final results for tonight. John Canizaro Jr. comes away with the win. Tim Johnson second, Anthony DeBarro third, Philip Scott in fourth, John Daniels comes home fifth with a great run. Chris Cabot in sixth, Toby Ritters in seventh, Jamar Dumas eighth, Jonathan Gaston in ninth, Max Coast brings it home top 10. In 11th is Jason Schue. Ace House comes home P12 and a gutsy race there for Ace. He just said in the comments, a lot of fun. He was actually battling a bit of a sickness tonight, so good gutsy run there for Ace to come home 12th. Danny White in 13th after having a bit of an incident with 20 some odd laps to go. Adam Stewart comes home 14th. Jeff Price in 15th. Riley Hoots also has a bit of a cold going on, so a little cold going around the garage area. So best wishes and quick recovery to both you and to Ace and Riley. And Garrett Gleason brings us home in 17th place. Well, Joe, next week, 2 races at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Super Speedway edition of the track. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be wild. 2 very quick races, tight pack racing. It's going to be exciting for sure.
Definitely. Always looking forward to it, man.
But we will see how that one goes next week. For the rest of the week's programming here on the Tabletop Trio Podcast Network, tomorrow night you can join us 9 o'clock Eastern for the Speed Xfinity Series as they take it off to Scotland and race at the Knockhill Racing Circuit, a very tricky racetrack that's basically the short track of road courses. Tight corners, a lot of elevation changes. So that is going to be a ton of fun to watch these guys attempt to manage their way through the circuit at Knockhill. And Wednesday, as always, you can join us for the Tabletop Trio podcast live here on Twitch and YouTube right around 8 o'clock Eastern, and Thursdays wherever you find podcasts. So for one final time, I'm Bob.
I'm Joe.
This has been Total Nonstop Racing League at Pocono. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.